So Tom, when did all this begin?
Well, in 1985, I started my real estate career, and I started it with Coldwell Banker Phyllis Rubin Real Estate. I opened up Phyllis's offices and her commercial investments division as well. In 1988, we wanted to do one of two things: either buy Coldwell Banker Phyllis Rubin Real Estate, or it was time to open up Wilkins and Associates Real Estate. What I ended up doing is I left Coldwell Banker Phyllis Rubin Real Estate, and the original Wilkins and Associates Real Estate was actually owned by Morris Wilkins, Elliott, Douglas Wilkins, Michael Wilkins, and myself. Through a bankruptcy, I was able to purchase all of the other shares, and I became the ultimate sole owner of Wilkins and Associates Real Estate, which was located at 9 Fork Street in Mount Pocono.
Okay, so now there was a fire at some point as well?
Yes, that was my first introduction to marketing. I got called in by the fire marshals the next day because we put a sign up that said Wilkins and Associates, hotter now than ever. It was my first marketing. Well, the fire marshals wanted to know, did I have anything to do with the fire? And we lost the entire office. And at that point, two things were going to happen. I had breakfast with a gentleman by the name of Brian Ellis, who is still with me today. And I said to Brian, look, it's been good, and why don't you go on and move on? I'll give you all your listings, and it's time that I just leave Mount Pocono. And he urged me to stay in business, and what we did is we moved all of what remained of our files to the Mount Pocono Professional Center, which at that point then was owned by PNC Bank. And we set up a little suite in the back, and we kind of broke in and went in and set up shop, and we kept running the business from the back of the Mount Pocono Center.
So when did you get to Stroudsburg?
Well, Stroudsburg, the reason I got to Stroudsburg was that I couldn't figure out why my competition, who was, again, Phyllis Rubin, who was the best. I learned from the best. Phyllis was the best in the business. And I couldn't figure out why she was getting the Stroudsburg listings and I wasn't. And what I realized at that particular junction is that I needed to make our corporate offices Stroudsburg. So if I thought of that, Connie, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday morning, I was in Stroudsburg negotiating on 304 Park Avenue and 912 Main Street, which was Steve Paw. So I had the choice of going to either one of them like that. Both of them knew I had no money at all, but the commercial market was so soft at that time, I was able to rent a little office from George Westerfeld here, which of course you guys started out at Park Avenue as well.
Yes.
And rented a little office, and year by year by year, we ended up taking what's now the entire building.
Now, you actually had the first merger that happened here.
Well, yeah, that was actually the first purchase of a real estate company, and that was when we bought Barbara Samet Real Estate in probably 1997, and she had an office in East Stroudsburg. She wanted to get out of the business, and she also had a fire on Crystal Street, and I think it kind of took the wind out of her sails. And that was my first purchase. We purchased the realtors and we purchased the listings in that office and moved them to a little location on Washington Street. And that was probably our second office at that, third office, Connie, because we kept Mount Pocono.
Christine, when did you first hear of Wilkins and Associates?
I first heard of Wilkins and Associates when I was working at Penn Mountain Realty. I had specialized in the Penn Estates community at that time. And I remember showing a property one day and looking over, and I saw a sign that said Wilkins and Associates. And I was like, I wonder who that is. And then I saw the sign again. And then I really was intrigued. I said, who is this person moving into my territory now?
So then what happened? You met him at dinner, right?
Yes, there was a dinner at the Pocono Mountain Vacation Bureau. And I remember I had worked with Charles Palillo at that time, and I would normally attend the dinners with him. And I had asked him, who are we going to be sitting with this year? And he had mentioned Tom Wilkins. And I said, I was like, Tom Wilkins, great. Now I get to ask some questions that I've been, wondering about. And it was at that time we were sitting there, and I remember he was sitting right across from the table from me. And I took that opportunity. I started asking about the short-term rental program, how much they were charging for linens and everything like that.
So you drilled him.
I drilled him. And later on, I found he said that was love at first sight at that time. So that it was a pretty good time.
So Tom, now we're up to 2001. So where did you go from there?
2001 started our expansions. At that particular juncture, we were pretty well in the real estate business. And we opened up in Tannersville. We bought a building in the West End and opened up into that area. We went north into Pike County, which was a big move for us, and that was into Dingman's Ferry and the Milford area. And those offices were actually run by Christine. So Christine and through those offices opened us up into the Pike County real estate side of it. So that was really a big expansion of it. Ultimately, we had 14 offices.
Christine, when did you actually join Wilkins and Associates?
It wasn't until years later. I had continued with Penn Mountain Realty for quite some time. And then it was probably about 2001, the end of 2001, beginning of 2002, it was an opportunity came available either to get more involved in the corporate housing, move out on my own, or join under another broker. And it was at that time that I was brought to Tom and Wilkins and Associates to interview to see if this would be a right match for me. And it was that time, I think it actually was January of 2002, that I began in the Stroudsburg office.
So how did you help grow the company?
I started as an agent. At some point, I was either appointed or chosen to help be an agent representative for the Stroudsburg office. And then I started getting more involved in the management side of the company. It was about 2004 I had obtained my associate broker's license and was asked to help become an assistant manager to the Tannersville office. From Tannersville, I then moved to the Dingman's Ferry office and then helped open our Milford office at that time. And I was there for probably 3 or 4 years in the Pike County Dingman's Ferry Milford office. And then after that, it was 2008 when the market started going down again. We ended up closing some of those offices, and I was moved back down to, I think it was the Bushkill office and Stroudsburg offices again.
Tommy, what was it like growing up with your dad being in the real estate industry?
Well, being born into the company, I've seen everything. I've been chewing on his yellow pad since the day I was born and he was trying to get work done, to being hired and fired here at the company a couple times.
What was your first task that you had to do here?
Well, my first task, it was my sister and I. We used to have to put all the files into the filing cabinets, but back then when business was booming, it was so hard to fit them into those filing cabinets. So we actually did get fired for hiding a couple of them up in the ceiling tiles. So since then, we have definitely grown together and learned off each other from his experiences and my technology knowledge. So it really bounced off each other.
Now, what are you doing now?
Right now, I am an assistant for him and for Christine. I teach a lot of classes with Lead Router. I really want to get the agents to maximize their marketing campaigns online to really get their name out there so that you don't have to be in the office 24/7. Because now that technology is really kicking up, you want to maximize on all the computers because that's all it is nowadays. So I really like to help them put their name out there through the web, through the iPhones.
We can tell you just love this industry.
I love real estate. Real estate is great, and what makes a great fit for Tom and I is we are both very passionate about our industry. And what I really love and admire about Tom is he's a visionary in our industry, and he can help take us to the next level. He's very dedicated, he's a time management master, and I'm very proud to be his partner, his wife, and a member of the team.
Tom, is there anything you'd like to say to your dad?
I'd like to say thank you for all you've done for me throughout my life and for the start of my real estate career here. And for myself and the company, I'd like to say thank you from all of us, and let's get ready for the next 25 years.
On behalf of Christine, myself, and our family, that we thank each and every one of you for the support that you've given us over the years. If it wasn't for the people here tonight we would not be where we are today, and we know that. So for all of the supervisors, employees, and realtors and such that believed in us and helped us grow the way that we have, our sincere thanks. I also want to take a minute and thank a person that believed from me right from the very beginning, from my Sundance leather days when I was 19 years old, and that's a young lady by the name of Audrey Mannix, who's my mother. And her I really want to thank on behalf of all of us. So thank you very much for coming, and enjoy your evening.
Thank you.